You know, I can tell you within 5 seconds if an Airbnb is going to be profitable with like 95% certainty because there's only 5 reasons an Airbnb could make money. You'll either provide value in one of 5 ways or multiple ways. If you do it well, you make money. If you don't, you don't. This video, of course, is the 5 ways you can make money on Airbnb with a property, so that way you don't ever pick up the wrong property because it's just not capable of bringing in the big bucks. Let's begin. Hello, my friends, and good morning. Thank you for watching this video. I must confess, this video is remarkably simple, but it took me traveling through Italy for a month, seeing some of the coolest Airbnbs around the world. Like I said, some of the coolest Airbnbs around the world, to figure this out, or at least to make it a video. Positano is a prime example of location. This is one of the main ways that you can make money. Just like a hotel builds where people want to be, tons of people throughout the summer come to Positano because it is a gorgeous little town. And because so many people come here, this little 350 square foot studio apartment here makes like $1,500 for a 3-night stay. The balcony is actually almost as big as the inside is. Can you believe that? But because of this location and the view, this thing will make so much money through peak season. And this does not mean that you have to be in a tourist destination like Positano, Italy, or Miami, or Park City, Utah, or Medellin, Colombia. But those are the ones we would first imagine and do research on when trying to determine location-driven listings. With that said, if you go back to my videos from Houston, when I first started doing Airbnb 2015, first started teaching it on YouTube 2017, I talked about East Downtown, which is right next to the George R. Brown Center. It was an area of town that was very cheap. Compared to downtown Houston, where all the high-rises were and rents were expensive, you could go to the sketchy side of town just east of the highway, east of the George R. Brown Center, and get places where the rent was nearly half the price. And because of that, you could still be so close to the George R. Brown Center, but have so much more room for margin, paying less rent. That was a no-brainer. This also happened in Philadelphia, the area of Northern Liberty's Fishtown, where there weren't any hotels, but it became a hotspot, an attraction. That location was super hipster, great restaurants, great walkability, and it was really close to the water and some of the coolest bridges that Philadelphia has to offer. So people wanted to stay right there. And because there weren't any hotels, anybody with a property on Airbnb would absolutely kill it. I love this place. I just did research on a property in Chicago for one of my students. It was a high-rise where the rent was over $7,000 a month for the place, and he was so nervous to pick the property up because that much rent is insane. But because of the research that we did, I was able to show him that that specific property could make over $20,000 a month easy. So paying the rent of $7,000 was an absolute no-brainer at that point. One of the main ingredients for this listing was location. But a second one, because this listing nailed it multiple ways, was its ability to accommodate groups of people. There's a phrase in the hotel industry called heads in beds. Essentially, the more heads you put in beds, the more money you make. And they would typically mean fill every hotel room up. But in the Airbnb space, this also can mean the more beds you stuff into a property, the more heads you can get there, the more money you make. The golden rule here is that Airbnb rewards larger properties. I just dropped a video discussing this with Airbnb's new summer release in 2024. It makes a lot of sense. But if you can sleep 12 people, you'll make more money than if you can sleep 8. But also because homes that sleep 12 or 14 people cost more money to start typically, you will absolutely have less competition. You might even make more money per person than if you only slept 8. And what I mean is you can have a property sleeping 8 people where you make $400, that's $50 per person, 400 divided by 8. But the one that sleeps 12 might make $1,000. And then all of a sudden that's ballpark $80 per person instead of 50. The reason why is there's less supply to service 12, meaning people will be forced to pay a higher price for their group. Another reason why an Airbnb can make more money per person when it gets bigger is because studios and 1-bedrooms and 2s that sleep 3, 4, 5, 6 people, they have to compete with hotels. That means there's all of the hotel supply to contend with too. But once you get into group sizes of 8, 10, 12, 14, those groups tend to not want to have to go to hotels. And that's why Airbnb made their group wish lists feature. Again, one of the updates that I talk about in that other video that you absolutely need to check out. But the skinny on this feature is one person can make a shared wish list where 4, 5, 10 people can look at all those listings, add listings, and then vote on them. So 5 people in a group can say this one's amazing, or 10 people in a group can say that one's amazing, helping groups of people make a group decision on what listing they want to stay in. But if you think about how this applies, there's not going to be a group wish list where 20 people vote on a studio. It won't matter. This feature won't apply to smaller listings because when you think about it, why are people voting for a property unless all of them are staying there? Airbnb investing in this group wishlist feature is really saying that some of Airbnb's most profitable properties are ones where groups need to come together and make a joint decision on what large property they're going to stay in. Now, this Chicago example that I mentioned nailed it on the third one as well, which is amenitization or amenities. I'm not going to show you this building in this video. My student earned that property. He's picking it up as we speak, and I don't want any competition for him. But this building had a pool, had a hot tub, had a sauna, had floor-to-ceiling windows, a great view of Lake Michigan and the city. This thing had it all. And because of that, the perceived value of the property goes up. Some people book on Airbnb because they want a cheaper place to stay. But those days are ending. Airbnb's reputation is that it's not as cheap as hotels anymore. Cleaning fees are too high. There's all these complaints. But Airbnb still had a record-breaking Q2 in 2024. So if all the broke people are upset about cleaning fees, but Airbnb is still making more money than ever, that means that Airbnb is servicing a growing group of people that don't mind spending money. So amenities and good design can help set you apart from other listings, so that way people know that they're going to enjoy their stay or get the features that they need. Again, competing against hotels, a lot of hotels don't have a full-size kitchen or full-size fridge. They don't have free parking in a lot of these places, let alone garage parking. They don't have a washer and dryer. They don't have a dedicated kids room with toys. They don't have multiple makeup stations for groups of people that want to go out at night. And what's more, Airbnb hasn't updated the way that they do search in years, or maybe even a decade. It's something called a Boolean search. Look that up, that's fun. It means that every single time somebody checks a checkbox because they want a washer and dryer, they want a pool, they want an elevator, if a listing doesn't meet every single check, it doesn't get shown. And trust me, when it comes to software, this is significant. A lot of companies have moved away from the Boolean style hard matching. They do relevance-based search. So for example, on YouTube, if you search a sentence and there's no video for that exact sentence, they'll still give you matches that might kind of fit what you're looking for. This also reminds me of a super old school dating website called OkCupid that I used back in college. It would say this person's an 86% match or a 92% match. If that dating site only matched people that were a 100% match on every question that they ever asked and answered because they gave you these surveys, you'd have very few matches. And Airbnb still has this approach that what a customer wants, a customer gets. So if somebody searches for a hot tub and there's no hot tubs around, Airbnb will serve you up 0 results. I think Airbnb might change this one day when they realize that somebody finding out that there are no hot tubs is very sad. They might move to hotels. Airbnb could say, I'm sorry, there's no hot tubs in this area, but we also have dry saunas and pools and different things like that. Would you consider staying in an Airbnb with one of these? If Airbnb did that, they might get more bookings. But also, until Airbnb makes that change, something super valuable for you to know is that your listing having more amenities means you get shown in search way more often. And when a customer perceives your value, whether or not they want to stay at your listing, there are some non-starters. Maybe they won't book unless you have a hot tub. But some people will go, wow, it's really cool that they have a gym. Or wow, it's really cool that they have TVs in the bedroom or that the kids' room has toys. They probably did not ask for a dry sauna or an ice bath, but when they're comparing listings at $500 each and yours has these extras, they'll go, wow, that's really cool. Let's book that. So in that way, amenities is one of the main 5 ways that listings make money because you can charge for those amenities. And not only can you charge for those amenities, but if somebody has to choose between you and another listing that doesn't have the bells and whistles, at the same price, they're going to choose you, which is a great strategy for slow season. If you're in a market that just doesn't get enough business 4 months out of the year, one of the best ways to get that business is to compete on price, but also have a better listing in every way that you can have a better listing. I've noticed with my students that listings that have hot tubs have a higher bottom price. And what I mean by this is some listings have to go down to $60 or $70 a night even to get booked. And for larger listings, that would be terrible. But for a 2-bedroom property with a hot tub, they may not have to go below 110, where 2 bedrooms in the same neighborhood without a hot tub would have to go down to 70. This can be explained in a really simple way. As you drop down in price tiers from $500 a night to $300 to $200 to $150, the types of listings change. So if you have empty nights at $500 a night, and you can't seem to get booked against your competition there, you drop your price to $350 and you have some of those amenities, all of a sudden your competitors don't have the stuff you have. So that means you're going to get booked at $350, or God forbid you have to go down to $200. People will not have nearly the amenities that you have down here. So you can get 60 or 70% of your bookings at $500, drop your price, get more bookings, drop your price and get more bookings. But if you didn't have the hot tub or the dry sauna, you might have to crash down through prices all the way down to $70 or $80 sometimes to get bookings. Amenities raise your bottom rate, protecting your monthly revenue even in slow season. And number 4 is making more and more sense as we see Brian Chesky talk, as we see Airbnb's updates. And again, you're going to have to watch that video on what Airbnb did. It's nuts, but Airbnb is really speaking towards experiential listings. A home that looks like a shoe, a bubble dome that you can see the sky, a place like this where you can see the ocean and the city in Positano, a Marvel themed listing, like Airbnb's icons. If you haven't seen them, they are all experiential, 100% buzzworthy, shareable on Instagram. This is an old phrase, the Instagram wall. This is something that every house needs, somewhere where people can sit or stand and have really cool stuff behind them so they can flex that they're in a cool Airbnb. This is why hotels spend so much money on their lobbies, because walking in and having this grand lobby, somebody might be able to flex and share it online. Also, these types of features increase your overall production value. But when a listing is something special like an A-frame in the middle of nowhere, or a haunted casita in a ghost town like Terralingua, or a literal recreation of a Hobbit home from Lord of the Rings, people may book that property, treehouse, spaceship, anything, just because they want the experience of staying in something novel as the whole point of their vacation. Here in Positano, people want to come to the city, and when they're here in the city, they want the view. But somebody going to stay in a spaceship is probably having some sort of staycation. They're just going for the weekend. They want to do something weird for the weekend, so they're going to stay in a spaceship. You could sleep literally only 2 people in a seashell house or a spaceship or a treehouse and charge $200 to $500 a night easy just because of that novelty factor. You're giving people some way to escape their everyday life within 150 miles from home. You're doing a great service to the overworked American. And now all of these have something in common, which leads us to number 5. The only way that any short-term rental actually ever makes money is they fill a gap. Being able to sleep 14 people, or being right next to the water, or having a hot tub, are all servicing a group of people or a person that has a desire to spend money on something specific. Sometimes they know what they're looking for and sometimes they don't, which is best explained through the OMG collection on Airbnb. Somebody may not have known they wanted to stay in a spaceship, but as soon as they saw it, they had to have it. They were filling a desire to do something wild for their weekend. That spaceship fills a gap in the market, which is the desire for a novel experience. The house that sleeps 14 fills a gap in the market, a true need for a group of people to come together. A place like this with this view fills a gap, a desire to have a picturesque panoramic view instead of staying in a hotel or some average place. If someone's going to go somewhere and spend real money on a vacation, like flying to Italy and visiting Rome and Positano and Matera, they're going to want to have special experiences along the way, which means people won't be booking these cheaper accommodations when they're going to places like this. The location, the size, the amenities, the novelty, these are all filling a gap. And we can find these and many more that I teach just by going on the Airbnb platform. You can do your market research right from Airbnb and find the gaps in any market. If you're expanding your Airbnb portfolio, or even just adding your first Airbnb, and you want to know for sure that that thing is going to make you real money, good money, and not lose money like some people are scared of, you will want to take this webinar. It has every trick, every technique that I use to validate listings, even to reverse opportunity search if you already have a property, but you want to make sure that it's going to be good on Airbnb. This webinar will teach you to do that too. And what is more amazing is that this webinar does not require you to pay for a single software like Mashvisor or AirDNA, and it will give you better data and better results than Mashvisor or AirDNA, and I guarantee it. I stand by that. The webinar is called Gap Market Research. It is designed to help you find the gap in any market with any product type, so that way your next Airbnb is absolutely going to be the right Airbnb. There's a link in the description down below and one in the corner. Find it, take that webinar, and stay in touch in one of my free Facebook groups. Tag me, ask me any follow-up questions, or just brag that you found an amazing property. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, my friends, I will see you on the other side.